Yo, what's going on, y'all? I want to thank you if you're tuning in, especially if you were listening the last hour. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. And you guys can check out any of my clips at Paco757 on YouTube, Paco Elijah on Facebook, and on Twitter, Occupy the MSM. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into an interview so that way we can have the whole hour to speak to Ginger. She was at the Maine convention and been posting up videos about the shenanigans going on, and we just want to get a first-hand take of what happened. Just like yesterday, we spoke with Mark Joseph from the Nevada convention. You guys could check that out on my YouTube page if you missed it. Again, Paco757 at YouTube. Let's go ahead and give Ginger a call.
This is Ginger.
Hey, Ginger.
Hey.
All right, this is Paco. So we got you on air. I appreciate you coming on Ron Paul Radio and talking with us.
Sure, happy to help.
Okay. So I know a lot of us were at home on the weekend, and we were sitting back watching pretty much both of the conventions. Mark had Nevada convention, and then somebody where you were at had the Maine convention. But what was happening was the audio was going in and out, and we had a lot of ads coming up on Ustream, so we couldn't make out everything that was going on. We couldn't make out everything that was said. So I was hoping you could kind of run us through, Saturday and Sunday, the interesting events that took place.
Sure. There was a lot of, I think, stress leading up to the convention. Just to go back a little bit and give some background. When we held the caucuses in Maine a few months ago, the reporting, there were, I think people have seen the videos and seen, Rachel Maddow and Ben Swan's reporting on how the totals in the individual towns that were voting did not match what the Maine GOP committee was reporting on their website, and there was doubts about, what was going on, and the head of the Maine GOP, a man named Charlie Webster, had made some kind of derogatory comments and saying not using, kind of discussing Ron Paul supporters in less than loving terms, and I think people were pretty upset with that and kind of how fair the process was in Maine. And it was close. I mean, the caucus, again, it's a non-binding, beauty contest vote. Romney got 39%, and Ron Paul got a little more than 34%. So it wasn't, this wasn't a vast difference. So for the head of the Maine GOP to be kind of, slighting Ron Paul supporters that were, a third of the party that came in and voted, there were some bad feelings there. There were some people who wanted to, throw him out at that point because the caucuses were a mess, because they canceled things, then said they weren't going to count one county that they canceled and postponed, and
so you would
coming into this,
would you say most Ron Paul supporters felt that Ron Paul indeed won Maine hands down, or did some feel like we just don't know?
No, I don't think there was he won hands down. I think there was questions. I think people wanted everything counted properly. I think there were a few people that suspected he did, but it was close. So when it's close, it's harder to tell. A little bit of fudging can mess things up. Mm-hmm. But, I in the end, again, it's a non-binding caucus. So that's an interesting number. But as Dr. Paul has, told everybody, what counts is the delegates. And so, again, as they've been everywhere, they've been very organized in Maine. And so they, made sure that people, show up, have the beauty contest. People are going to leave, don't leave. Then we're going to pick the delegates, run for delegate, So they went through that process very methodically and came up. And at the end of it, as Dr. Paul had told the country, he said, I may not have won the beauty contest, but we have more delegates. And if they show up at the in Augusta for the GOP convention, then he's going to take Maine, and that's what happened. So when I think people were even more so motivated because of kind of this suspicion of shenanigans that went on, and because Charlie Webster was not being gracious to Ron Paul supporters. I think it really motivated people to show up. And Friday night we had Ron Paul supporters had a meeting, and it was a crammed hallway. I mean, there was a line out the door; people couldn't even get in, just to discuss what was going to happen, what the plan was, what the instructions were, and Eric Brakey, who has been running the Ron Paul campaign in Maine for the last few months, they were very professional and really well organized, and I have to give hats off to him for what he accomplished here. But he was very good in educating the Ron Paul supporters to, look, we know they're probably going to play games. We know that they're probably going to try to provoke us to get people to lose their cool and be thrown out of the convention because they've tried it elsewhere. And this is, he said, these are things we know that they've tried. So we have to, his saying is, we need to be as calm as Hindu cows. We need to walk through the procedure. He said, we've got, if they try something, we have people there who will make the appropriate motions. So let's stay quiet so they can be heard, and let's really do this the way it should be done, so they can't accuse anybody of anything. So there was very detailed attention. And the outcome is the outcome.
So basically,
we want the votes counted.
Not just Ron Paul, but Charlie Webster's bringing people together, because now he got Ron Paul supporters upset. Didn't seem to be done fairly, and now you're saying you guys are meeting before the actual convention, and you guys are having a pretty good meeting. A lot of people there.
We did, and matter of fact, that's the point that Bricky opened with at the meeting. He said because that morning Charlie Webster, or maybe the day before, had sent out an email saying that to Maine GOP, saying that the Ron Paul contingency plans to take over the convention. And if there's one thing you want to do to motivate Ron Paul supporters, is make them angry.
Exactly,
If
exactly.
you give them, we have a lot of righteous indignation, and that is not the way to keep them home. So he really only kind of lit a match under things. I don't think it was a very wise thing for him to do. However, when we got there, so everybody kind of showed up. It was like, okay, everybody be there 3 hours early. I mean, they were like, it's going to start at 9, get there by 6:30, and we'll have donuts. And they did. They were there at 5 a.m. with donuts for everybody, with breakfast. Like, if you showed up, by then, we said we want our people inside the hall, because we're worried they'll just close.
They'll close the doors.
Start, and if you're not there on time. So that's what happened. Ron Paul's people showed up early and in earnest. There was a line. I've never seen anything like this. I saw
it on YouTube.
Like Elvis, it was like Elvis was at the Civic Center, and it was packed to the rafters. And there was.
Do you know of any Ron Paul supporters that didn't make it, or came late, or got doors shut on? No,
they didn't. What they did was, it was supposed to start at 9, and they decided to leave the doors open to get everybody in. So it started, I think, a little more than 45 minutes late, because they were going to let everybody in. Now, at this point, Ron Paul supporters were already in the building. Yeah. So they really were waiting for more of the Romney supporters
of course.
who weren't showing up ever. Which, again, is fine, because the goal of this is to get everybody's vote counted and get a true, true organic vote of what's really going on in the mind of Maine Republicans. So we started off late and did the original business of, opening the convention, singing the national anthem, the whole, the pomp and circumstance of it all. Yeah. And then, the first item of business was to elect the convention chair and the convention secretary. And
okay, let's come back to that. Let's come back to that in a minute, because the music's about to come on. Okay. So we're about to go to a break. I didn't mean to cut you off, but just stay on the line, and we'll be right back.